What's up guys, Nugi here, and in today's video we're briefly discussing the removal of the Eternal Orb. So the Eternal Orb was an orb that was introduced as a currency to Path of Exile around 2 years ago. The Eternal Orb let you create an imprint of an item for later restoration, meaning that you could potentially, and this is what people have been doing since then, create 6 perfect stats on rare items. So you would, before the Eternal Orb, you would alterate, regal, and then you only had the Exalted Orb to add random stats. So every time you had to try to get this perfectly crafted item, you only had the option of adding 1 or 3 random stats after the Regal Orb, which is what most people did. They would hit the 3 perfect stats they wanted on the alterations and then the Regal Orb, because these are plentiful in Path of Exile, and then they would use the more rare currency, the Exalted Orb. Now with the introduction of the Eternal Orb, what then happened is that whenever you wanted to craft a really good item, you would do the alteration and the Regal. You would most likely Eternal it if you had 3 perfect stats, and then start exalting. This was very, very costly, as the Eternal Orb is much rarer even than the Exalted Orb. And so one of my issues is with the Eternal Orb specifically is that it creates this mindset that whenever you're crafting, it is going to be extremely expensive, because you know that you will use the Eternal Orb to craft. It seems pointless to try and craft something that is not perfect, right? Because the Eternal Orb allows for you to create the perfect item. So for me, I've had around 15 Eternal Orbs in my PoE career. I've enjoyed using them, but after I had to use a few Eternal Orbs on a craft, you quickly come to the understanding that if I want to finish this item, this is going to be a long journey. It is going to be very expensive, and that in itself is fine to have something expensive, but it deters a lot of average players, and even a player like me who played thousands and thousands of hours, and I've had so much currency between my hands within the game. But it just required so much to even consider rolling something that was near perfect. And that's what you're really striving for, right? With the Exalted Orb, you could collect like a good amount of Exalts and Regals, and you would create your item. And it would have a good value just because of the alteration Regals. You just had to hit 1 or 2 Exalts to hit them within reason, and the item would be worth a lot. Comparably to other items out there, it would actually stand its ground. Like you wouldn't feel like you wasted this because you just used Exalts. Now, in order for you to really compete, and this really is on standard and hardcore, the permanent leagues, you feel like if you're doing any kind of crafting, it feels for nothing if you cannot afford to bring the item up to the standard of the best items out there. And why do you need to bring these items up to the best items out there? Because of mirrors. So the way this works is that everyone talks about mirror services, and so the mirror will copy a rare item and it will basically make a copy of it, 1-to-1 copy, that you cannot alterate afterwards. So when you have a perfect item, you will then copy this perfect item and sell it to someone else. So they have a mirror, you tell them, you give me a fee and I will let you copy my perfect item. And then you give the copy back to them after you were provided the fee. And so why would you even try to compete with these guys who use maybe thousands of Eternal Orbs to create this item? Like you won't even bother. The only thing you bother about is acquiring enough currency, because this is much easier, and on your part it's much cheaper to just get the mirrored item. And there is like an array of items out there. They're all perfect for your specific character. over time there's been created like a ton of perfect items out there. So with the Awakening, we're gonna get new crafting tiers. And so these new crafting tiers will push some of these items back, but there are still enough Eternal Orbs that this time around we are probably going to see a slew of perfect items on day 1 or 2 in the standard leagues. This will not be an issue anymore in the temporary leagues. In the temporary leagues, you're left with alterating, regaling, exalting, using master crafting to create very, very good items within reason. You will still see some near perfect items and they will drop, but it is very unlikely that you will see many of them. Though my main issue honestly has never been the Eternal Orb. I think the main issue here is the mirror. I think the mirror holds way more of an issue than the Eternal Orb, because it allows you to take the perfect item and then copy it. So you will have a perfect item and now you will copy it and copy it and copy it, and there's no incentive to craft this specific item. It might be the best critical dagger with a crit multiplier roll, or it might be the best critical dagger with block removal roll, or whatever. Like there's going to be one of each, and as long as people know that this item exists, it seems of little like you're not very encouraged to actually go and craft something that is as good as this, especially if you're going for really endgame crafting, because the mirror exists and it's often just cheaper to try and do the mirror route. So that's why I think the mirror is more of an issue, because it makes the best item be copied. If you had the Eternal Orb without the mirror, instead you would have one person holding the best item in the game. There was no way no other person within the game could have that same item. So you'd have to Eternal something up to that point, or you would have to buy the item that was crafted, like the best in slot item. You'd have to buy it off him, which would be expensive. But let's say this guy, it's on his build, he does not want to part with it. Now you're incentivized to craft a completely new item to match that. It might be close to it, but even if it's close to it and not perfect, let's say it's 5 perfect stats plus a tier 2, it's going to be, let's say this other guy won't sell it ever. Like this guy over here won't sell his 6 perfect stat item. You have the only tradable item, which is now priceless because the other guy doesn't want to sell it. So you have like 5 perfect stats and 1 off, and it's going to be pretty much priceless, because getting to the point of this this item is nearly impossible statistically. Like with the Eternal Orb, fine, like it's going to be very, very costly. Is it even going to be worth the investment using like 1,000 Eternal Orbs? Right? Do you even want to sell it to someone else? Probably not. And if you do, that you're gonna get everything they have. So I think that the mirror is more of an issue than Exalts, because you're gonna, or than Eternals, because we will eventually have the same kind of issue along the line with mirrors. Like eventually someone is gonna get lucky and they're gonna corner the market again, because they're gonna have their mirror service and all that. This is mainly for standard. So the mirror on standard is mostly an issue. I think on temporary leagues it's not really an issue, because within a 3 month period you won't have the same kind of cornering of a market. And so on a temporary league, this is, if you have mirrors or Eternals, as long as they're separate, I really don't have any issues having either of them, because you're gonna constantly like renewing the economy. But on the temporary leagues, I still see the issues of just having the mirror. In a temporary league, it's not the same. In a temporary league, I prefer not having the Eternal, because you do not feel the need to keeping to craft, to have the, like, you don't feel that you're missing out. Like we're really with the Eternal Orb, you feel like if you're not using Eternal Orb, you're doing something wrong. You're missing out of a potential perfect item really discouraging the average player of like continuing to craft. So these are some of my thoughts about the Eternal and mirrors. So what now? What now with the mirror gone, or not the mirror gone, with the Eternal gone? What now? Should we introduce more exalts? Is that necessary? I've seen a lot of people, okay, now we don't have Eternals anymore. Let's bring more currency. Let's bring more other currency that so we can have fun with that. The thing is, 2 years ago, I think exalts were there are plenty of exalts around. Now we have master crafting as well. Now we have warlords. I don't see the need for exalts to like go up in drop rates. I really don't. You can make a lot out of just people will adapt, and people will just use master crafting. They will do a lot of things to like make the odds go their way. Exalts sure are fun, but there also needs to be a rare currency, and I don't think the rarity of the exalted orb is any issue at all. People feel that there's going to be some kind of vacuum, a gap, because they lose the Eternal Orb for crafting. I disagree with that. It's just because something disappears from the economy doesn't mean that it leaves some kind of vacuum. It was just too much. The Eternal Orb was just too much. I just added too much to the crafting as a whole. Like, just removing it is, in my opinion, just fine. We have so many other options of crafting, and people understand this now, and I think we'll manage. So if you guys have some input, or if you disagree, leave a comment down below, even if you agree. And with that, I'll see you guys next time.